So good afternoon to one and all here, all the students. We have been discussing on. So good morning to everyone. Good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. We will be just starting with a few things. We have been discussing many parameters as of date, and we have seen that we have discussing upon the beam area, beam efficiency, pattern, directivity, gain, antenna aperture, effective height, bandwidth, radiation resistance, radiation intensity, and radio communication link. We also have to now further. We have done few problems as well, and let us just move on continuation of that. So what all things we have in the previous problem, we got the transmitted power by using the Friis transmission formula, that is 10.96. So let us come back to the one more concept of antenna, that is called as the antenna temperature. So here we'll be seeing the antenna temperature. So let us one of the parameter for antenna is antenna temperature. You might have felt this antenna getting heated up when you are subjected to radiation. So basically you can experience in the mobile phones and all. You can also see that if you are using a radio and all those things for a quite long time, you can find that all these things are getting heated up, or the temperature is getting generated at that space. This is what called as the antenna temperature. So let us just discuss upon this. Because of the radiation caused by the outer surface, there will be noise known as the cosmic noise. No, which is the cosmic noise will decrease with the increment of frequency. So you can just note down those things. So we have seen that the variation of when there is some antenna being placed, so there will be radiation, and as a result there will be noise known as cosmic noise, and which will decrease with the increment of frequency. So you can do the variation of all these parameters by changing the specific parameters, and you can make sure that you are reducing the amount of noise and all those things, as well as you can design the system in such a way that you can reduce the even the antenna temperature as well. So here few things like the brightness temperature of an of extended source of radiation is measured as temperature. You know all these things, you have studied in physics as well, of a black body which yields the brightness equal to the source. So brightness is denoted as B and is defined as the power received per unit area of aperture per cycle of bandwidth. So and per unit solid at radio and radar frequency. So we can write the equation for this brightness B as you can see that it can be written as 2 kTb divided by lambda square. So you can just note down few basic points here. So basically the antenna temperature is the temperature which gets generated at in and around the antenna, because when it is subjected to the radiation, it gets added to that. And here this is one of the parameter, and most of us don't like the if you are calling for a longer duration of time, you don't like that the phone getting heated up. So you can see that as and when the technology is improvising for day by day, you can see that that problem is getting resolved to some extent, but still this whenever you are using it for a 1 hour or 1.5 hour or 2 hours of duration, you can see that the temperature is getting built up. So all these things can be calculated, and when you are doing the testing process, you have to make sure that you have to calculate all these things, and the equation used in order to find the brightness B, and it is given as 2 kTb divided by lambda square. The brightness is defined as the power received per unit area of aperture per cycle of bandwidth per unit solid ratio and the radar frequency. I think all of you might have completed this. All of you have noted down these things. So you
Yes,
can
yes.
just write down, yeah, antenna temperature, and TB is called as the brightness temperature. Okay. So all these things we have already understood. So it's all theory. So the measurable temperature means the brightness temperature. So this temperature has to be measured. Why you need to measure? In order to, when you are doing the design process, you have to make sure that the values are being looked into, and you may keep the antenna for test for almost 1 or 2 hours or so, and keep measuring the variation in the temperature. So you can see that by usage of by the usage of the frequency variation, or it can be by the value change in the brightness temperature and all those things. You can see that the variation of temperature can be optimized. You cannot eliminate it completely, but you can optimize the process and how best, because when you work on the temperature, it may result that your gain may have to get compromised. So when you have to balance all these things, and you have to make sure that the antenna performs in a very systematic way. So measurable temperature means the brightness temperature in the field of antenna pattern is called as the antenna temperature. So this is the definition for the antenna temperature. Okay. So antenna temperature is measurable. So that is there, and the antenna observes the cosmic noise at one temperature, and the intervening observing the noise and all those things. So based on the signals, so you know that when the signals are subjected to the outer space, it will be subjected to noise. So this noise will be the combination of, it can be by the addition of signals, or it may be sometimes the signals will power strength and all those things will get removed, and it will be not good enough at the receiver end to decode the signal and check what was the signal being transmitted at the transmitter end. So it is very important for us to calculate all those things, and make sure that you are coming out with a proper justification for signal which is received at the receiver end. So you have to make sure that all the noise and all can be eliminated, and you get the proper signal with minimum temperature getting generated at the receiver end or at the transmission section. So that is what you can see here. Observes a cosmic noise at one temperature, and then interleaving observing atmospheric noise. So this is atmospheric noise also at another. The combined temperature of cosmic noise and atmospheric noise is called as the space temperature. So this is another term you can see here, space temperature, that is the combination of cosmic noise as well as the atmospheric noise. So the brightness temperature of an antenna for an ideal antenna can be calculated by using the equation Ts. So as I have told you, Ts can be written as omega A divided by omega S into delta TA. Its unit will be in Kelvin. So you know that temperature you can measure in degrees Celsius or Kelvin. So here we are going to see with respect to Kelvin. So Ts can be written as omega A divided by omega S into delta TA. So what is TS? TS is the measured value, that is the source temperature. So the source temperature can be calculated with the help of omega A and omega S. What is omega A and omega S? The solid angle of an antenna beam and the source. So one is the solid angle by an antenna beam is omega A, and by the source is omega S. So when you take the ratio of omega A and omega S multiplied by change in temperature, that is delta T A, then when you get that, you take it as TS, that is called as a source temperature. So you can just note down. If you have completed, we will proceed further. You can just make a note of it. I have asked you to go through this once. So the main points you can just note down all these things. So Ts is equal to omega A divided by omega S into delta Ta. So these are the equations in order to measure each parameter like source temperature, brightness temperature, and finally you can also measure the antenna temperature that we'll be seeing the total antenna temperature can be measured by using the equation. So the total antenna temperature can be measured using the equation that is this one that you can see here. Ta is equal to 1 by omega A integral of 0 to pi integral of 0 to 2 pi Ts theta phi Pn theta phi d omega. So you know this P d omega is sin theta d phi, and Pn theta phi is whatever you have. Either if it is En theta, En is given means you can take square of E, you get P. So Pn theta phi and Ts theta phi also you have to get it. So once you get all these things, and omega A, as you know, that solid angle of an antenna beam, and once you complete all this, you know all these parameters, then you can find out the total antenna temperature. So what is P theta phi? That is the relative power density, and we have been using this P theta phi from long time, P and theta phi. And what is T S theta phi? So T S theta phi is the brightness temperature of the source. So you can make a note of all these things. The very important equation to find out the antenna temperature is Ta is equal to 1 by omega A integral of 0 to pi 0 to 2 pi Ts theta phi Pn theta phi d omega, where Pn theta phi is the relative power density and Ts theta phi is the brightness temperature of the source. So all these points you can make a note of it, all these equations you make a note of it. So this are the equations in order to find out the antenna temperature, and you can measure the antenna temperature by if you have all these parameters, and you can work on these parameters in order to minimize the temperature getting generated. So if you want to find out this, you need to know these values, and you can find those things and optimize the temperature as much as you can so that the user will feel comfortable. So once you complete it, just let me know that we will proceed further. Make a note of all these equations and all these points.
Answer.
Okay, fine. So if you have anything here, it is all that equations we are going to use in order to find each parameters, and these are the things which we have seen. So now we are left out with the last topic of this module, that is called as the antenna field zones. So here we have already discussed about the pattern, beam area, beam efficiency. So all this radiation intensity, directivity gain, aperture, effective height, bandwidth, radiation intensity or radiation, radio communication link also we have discussed. Now we have completed with antenna temperature as well. So all these things, what you can see is all these things are very much required in order to, when you are going to design an antenna, and you have to keep a check of all these things, and make sure that the antenna is designed properly without any excess, like you should not have the noise getting added to it too much, or you should not have the power getting dropped, or you are not, you should design in such a way that you are able to send the signal as well as receive the signal at your best. Okay, so there are still research going on in design of various types of antennas and how best the antennas can perform. So they have come out with different types of antennas for different applications. So helical antenna is there, dish antenna is there, Yagi antenna is there, dipole antenna is there, parabola antenna is there. So many antennas are there. So you can lens antenna, so many are there, and you may be studying a few of them, like helical antenna and few antennas, Yagi antenna and all those things in the fifth module. So we will see those things at that point of time. So these are all the basic parameters used in order to find the antenna, how the performance of the antenna is. So let us now move on to, this is very important topic, that is antenna field zones. So all of you write down antenna field zones. So in antenna field zone, we let us see that. So when you keep an antenna either for the transmission or reception, you will have some field, or you will have some space. So that is what we are going to see that. So the space around the antenna is distinguished as antenna region. So that is very important. Space around an antenna is distinguished as antenna region and outer region. So we will be having some space which is very close to the antenna, some space which is far from the antenna. So we are going to see that we are having specific names for that. So we are going to see those things, what is called for and space near and which is far from the antenna. So the antenna region is an imaginary sphere of radius L by 2, where L is the maximum antenna dimension. So you can see that if you are having an antenna, so you can see that you have, this is the antenna. So you can see here, this is the antenna being placed. So L is the length of the antenna. So the entire length of the antenna is L. So we can see that the space, that is the boundary, you can see, which is very close to the antenna. So you can see this space. So that is called as the antenna region. So this very much surrounding to the antenna is called as the antenna region. So, or you can say that the boundary sphere of an antenna. So region. So this lines you can see very much close to the antenna, the very much precise to the antenna with the length of L. You have this space that is called as the antenna region. Now you are going to calculate the R value, that R is equal to 2L square by lambda. Very important equation. We will be asking this equation in order to find the near field and far field. So what is that? R is equal to 2L square by lambda. What is L? L is the length of the antenna. So R can be calculated as 2L square by lambda. So let us see that. So when you take a radius of 2L square by lambda, you get one circle like this. You get a field like this. So so you get to know that if R is 2L square by lambda, the which is inside, it is called as the near field, or it is called as the Fresnel region. So after that, which is outside, that is called as the far field, or it is called as the Fraunhofer region. So this boundary is called as the Fresnel Fraunhofer boundary of a sphere. So it is towards infinity. Okay. So which comes within that r is equal to 2l square by lambda, within that boundary which comes, it is called as a near field, or means the antenna is in the near field. If you say that it is within 2l square by lambda, if it goes beyond 2l square by lambda, ahead of 2l square by lambda, then you call it as far field. So this portion is here all it is far field, this all it is near field. So it is also one more name called for near field is Fresnel region, and one more name called for the far field is Fraunhofer region. So this boundary is called as Fresnel-Fraunhofer boundary of the sphere. So you make a note of this, still it is not completed. Draw this diagram. Is that clear for everyone? What do you mean by near field and far field?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you may have to use this equation 2l square by lambda. So this it will be asked for the Viva question also, how you define near field and far field. So to calculate the near field, you have to calculate r, and that is 2l square by lambda. So this equation you have to understand how the fields are classified. So they are classified as near fields and far field with the help of the equation 2l square by lambda. Within 2l square by lambda, you call it as near field. Ahead of that, above that value, you call it as far field or Fraunhofer region. It's an important topic, antenna field zones. So all of you have completed this figure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the field near to the antenna is known as the near field. So same thing, or Fresnel zone, and the one at a large distance is called as a far field or Fraunhofer zone. So I have already explained these things. You can make a note of all those things. So the boundary between the near field and far field is called as R. R is equal to 2L square by lambda. So what is L? L is the maximum dimension of an antenna, and lambda is the wavelength. So all these equations you can write down, all these points you can write down. So in Fraunhofer region, the field components are transverse to the radial direction from the antenna, and the power flow is in the directed radially outwards. So this is one more thing you can see. You have Fresnel region and Fraunhofer region. You have that is near field and far field. In Fraunhofer region, that is in the far field. So you can see that the far field, it's called as the Fraunhofer region. What it is going to happen, the components are transverse to radial direction from the antenna, and the power flow is directed radially outwards. So that one more figure you can see down there, where the power flow is radiated outwards. So you can see that. I'll show you that figure. So in far field, the shape of the pattern is independent of the distance. That is one more point. And in the near or Fresnel region, the power flow is not entirely radial. So I think you can make a note of that equations and all. Then I will show the figure and I'll explain you. You just complete this theory. Write down the equation R is equal to 2L square by lambda. I will explain you the radial direction of power flow and in the Fraunhofer region, and how it happens in the near field or Fresnel region. So that we are going to discuss further. All of you have completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me just take this figure there. So in Fraunhofer region, what you have seen, field components are transverse to the radial direction from the antenna, and power flow radiated outwards. So you can see this is the far field. So these are the power flow. You can see that it is getting radiated outside in the far field. But in far field, the shape of the field pattern is independent of the distance. That is also one more thing you can add on to that. In near field, the power flow is not entirely radial. So in the near field, you can see that the signals are the power flow you can see here. In the near field, it is in this direction, and but when you go to the far field, you can see that it is radially outwards the flow of power. So this is the radiation field pattern can be also explained. So these are the things what we are going to see. You have already studied the pattern. So this is the field pattern which is going to get generated for this field. So it will be like you will be having this main lobe here, and then this side as well. So this figure also you can see here, why we have drawn this figure is to make it clear that in the far field the field travels radially outwards, and you can see that the pattern how it is going to get generated is in this form, where you have the maximum value at this end. So complete this figure. Have you completed the figure?
No, sir. 1 minute.
Yeah, fine, complete. So one problem also we will do on these things and find out whether the antenna is, whether the signals or the receiving antenna is placed in the near field or in the far field. So we will see that whether one problem we will do next. Now we'll see one problem. So these are all easy, and you should not miss any marks here. It's all, once you study each parameter, you can write all these things. You have to be very much precise with the equations. Just put some effort to study at least one time, and then you can write it in the examination. These are all not difficult at all. The subject is easy, provided you have to put some effort to study. Then it is not at all difficult for you, and all that you can see is expected questions for the examinations. Very rare you will see some complicated questions and all, but I can say that out of 100 marks, 80% will be expected questions itself.
Done, sir.
Okay, so we will continue with this. We have seen that the field pattern, so the near field, far field, Fresnel, Fraunhofer, the equation to find out the boundary of Fresnel and Fraunhofer, within which range you call it as a near field, beyond which you call it as far field. So we have also seen the equation, that is the equation we have written is 2L square by lambda, which classifies the near field and the far field. So all these things we have studied. Now continuation of that, this also you can add to that, the so these points also entirely radial, and you can add this point. Radius vector r is proportional to the field radiated in that direction. Then let us solve one problem. So a directional antenna has a maximum dimension of 50 meter, maximum electrical dimension of 50 meter, and its operating frequency is also given for you, that is 100 megahertz. So operating frequency is given for you 100 megahertz. A field is measured at 1 kilometer from the antenna. Is it a near or far field? So we have to see that whether it is near field or far field. To classify near field and far field, we have the equation r is equal to 2L square by lambda. So lambda need to be calculated. So lambda can be calculated by using the equation C by F. So you can calculate lambda. Once you calculate lambda, you can find out r. So what is given here? A field is measured at 1 kilometer from the antenna. So the field is measured at 1 kilometer from the antenna. So now you have to calculate r and tell me that whether it is in the near field or in the far field. So first to calculate r. To calculate r, we need lambda. So to calculate lambda, C by F. So you'll get 3 meter. After calculating lambda, you can substitute L. L is given as 50 meter. That is the maximum dimension of the antenna, and you can substitute 2 into 50 square by 3. So you'll get 1.67 kilometer. So all of you will get 1.67 kilometer. But what you have been asked in the question is, a field is measured at 1 kilometer from the antenna. Is it near or far field? So R value is 1.67, but what they are asking, the field is measured at 1 kilometer. So if you take a circle of radius 1.67, whether one comes within that or apart from that. So you can see that one is within that 1.67. So whether it is near field or far field. Whether it is near field or far field. So this 1 kilometer comes within this 1.67. So you take this boundary. So you can see here, if I go back, so you can see that R is calculated, this boundary is calculated. So this is 1.67. So here you see that it is 1.67. So you have drawn this boundary. So what you see here, one is within this. So whether it is in near field or far field. Whether it is in near field or far field. All of you have completed this. Yeah, let me know that, then we will proceed further. Whether it is near field or far field, you're getting 1.67 R, but in the question it is called as 1 kilometer. One of you can answer to that.
Far field, sir.
How it is? See here, you are getting 1.67 here. But the field is measured, means you are keeping two antennas there. One is at the transmitter side, one is at the receiver side. So your antenna is in 1 kilometer itself, you are able to get the signal. So this 1 kilometer is within 1.67 kilometer, no? So that boundary is within 1.67 kilometer. This 1 kilometer is within that. So whether it is near or far. Far means what? Beyond
Near,
1.67.
sir.
Yeah, within 1.67 means it is near field. Okay. So you will see that the signal is received within that. So since the distance at which the field is measured is less than 1.67, it is in the near field. So that is what you can complete it. Is that clear for everyone? Is that clear for all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you complete it, so you get it as 1.67 R, and since 1 kilometer is within 1.67 radius, so you can say that it is in the near field. If here it was 2 kilometer, you think, then and you get it as 1.67. If here in the question it was mentioned 2 kilometer, then you would have written far field. Since it is 1 kilometer and it is 1.67 kilometer is R, so you write it in the near field. So all of you have completed. Let us move on further.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that all? Okay, fine. So we have been done with the module 3, and now we will start with module 4. So you can just note down. Module 4, that is point sources and arrays. So write down point sources and arrays. So the name of the module, you can write it down, point sources and arrays. We'll be studying about point sources and arrays. So this is also very interesting thing. If you understand the concepts clearly, you can you find it very easy. Only thing is that here in this fourth module, you should know some trigonometry and some integration portion that will be required for you. Okay. So write down module 4. Module 4, point sources and arrays. So we'll just see the introduction. So let us consider an antenna. Consider the antenna as the point source. So at later the concept of is extended for the array of point sources. So first we'll be studying for point source, and then we'll be extending it for the array of point sources. The pattern of an antenna can be so you can find out the pattern. So regarded as for the array of point sources. So what we are going to see is, you just think that antenna is like a point source. Point source means one point. If you are asking that antenna to radiate, means what it will do? It will radiate in all the directions, all the 360 directions. So that is what. So after that, after doing that for one point source, you can say that you can have an array of point source, means it can be one point source plus another one more point source. So it's a combination of 2 to 3 or n number of point sources. So you call it as array of point sources. So we'll be discussing in this module with first we will be going with one point source, and we also will be discussing about the 2 point sources or n point sources as well. So the antenna which does not have a specified shape, this is very important point, does not have a specified shape is called as a point source. For a point, have you ever thought that a point has to be having a specified shape? No. So if you put a dot, you say it is a point. So similarly, the antenna which does not have a specified shape is called as a point source, and the point source is also said to be an isotropic antenna. So what is the specialty of the isotropic antenna? The efficiency is 100% in as a transmitter or receiver. So that is if you are using the isotropic antenna, you can say that the efficiency will be 100% for in the case of a transmitter as well as in the case of a receiver. So write down module 4, point sources and arrays. You can just write down this introduction, and then we will continue. So we are going to see that point source is just a point where it can radiate in all the 360-degree direction, And if you combine the point sources together, you can get an array of point sources. And the antenna which does not have a specific shape is called as the point source. And you can, this point source is also said to be an isotropic antenna. You can say that an isotropic antenna whose efficiency is 100% when you are taking with respect to a transmitter or you are taking with respect to a receiver. So write down module 4 point sources and arrays. Write down the module 4 point sources and arrays. So all these things will be there for your internals. Point sources and arrays. So you can see that this is a point source and it is radiating in all the directions. So this is the power being fed into the point source and it is radiating in all 360-degree direction. So pattern and all we have already studied in the first module. So in second module also you have a power pattern and all those things. So whether it is means in the fourth module. So in third module also you have studied pattern. If it is asked in the fourth module, you have, don't think that it is there in fourth module, it is there in third module and all those things. You need to write the pattern whatever you have studied before, because I am not going to repeat those things again in the module 4. Okay, so you have, if next is that you are going to see about power pattern. So power pattern, few diagrams and few equations with relation to field pattern, all those things we studied in module 3. So I'm not going to include those things again in this module. So we'll be discussing about these things. Have you all completed this figure? Have you completed the figure? Is that over?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you can see this pattern, power pattern. Power pattern is already discussed in the module 3. So the you can say that it is a graphical representation or the source that radiates energy uniformly in all directions is an isotropic source. Just now we have seen this point source is also called as an isotropic source. So the point source which does not have a specified shape is called as an isotropic antenna. This also I have told you just now. So for isotropic source, the radial component is SR and the pointing vector is independent of theta and phi. So a graph of SR, so we can see that. So a graph of SR at a constant radius as a function of angle is the pointing vector or power density pattern. So it is called the power pattern. So we have already seen pattern. Pattern is a graphical representation. Now we talk about the isotropic antenna. So point sources can be specified as isotropic antenna, and the isotropic source, the radial component SR of the pointing vector is independent of theta and phi, and SR at a constant radius as a function of theta is a pointing vector or point power density pattern, that is called as a power pattern. So the 3D representation for the power pattern also we have seen in the module 3. The 3D power pattern for an isotropic source is a sphere, and a 2D pattern will be a circle. So we can just see these things with the figure, and you can make a note of all these things. So here the point source is also called as an isotropic source, and it is having it does not have any specified shape, and it is called as isotropic antenna, which I have already discussed before. And it is independent of theta and phi, and you can say that the uh, angle of the Poynting vector or a power density function, which is called as the power pattern. So a graph of SR at a constant radius as a function of angle of a power vector, Poynting vector or a power density pattern is called as power pattern. It is having a 3D power pattern as well as 2D. So 3D power pattern will be a sphere and 2D pattern will be a circle. So you can make a note of all these things, and this figure, you can draw this figure. So you can see that it is a circle, and you can see the power pattern. You have already seen that relative power pattern also. It is SR divided by SRM. If you take SR to the maximum value, you get the relative power pattern. So these things you can note down. So by this, we will wind up for today, and we will continue in the next class where we will be studying the power theorem and few problems and all. So all those things will be required for you. So all these things will be discussed. So you can make a note of all these things now and then leave the class. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.